Nobody knows the system better than me. I know the H-1B. I know the H-2B. Nobody knows it better than me. I know the H-1B very well, and it's something that I frankly use, and I shouldn't be allowed to use. We shouldn't have it. Very, very bad for workers.
As we speak, we're finalizing H-1B regulations so that no American worker is replaced ever again. H-1Bs should be used for top, highly paid talent to create American jobs, not as inexpensive labor program to destroy American jobs.
Why did you change your mind on H-1B visas, sir?
I didn't change my mind. I've always felt we have to have the most competent people in our country. We need competent people. We need smart people coming into our country. And we need a lot of people coming in. We're going to have jobs like we've never had before.
But sir, you said you changed your...
The far-right activist Laura Loomer, who has been bashing Musk for days now on this and is even accusing him of censoring her on his own platform. She is the anti-immigrant Trump ally who is now claiming that her blue checkmark was removed, her subscriptions were deactivated, her character limits for tweets and posts on X were limited for what she says is, quote, raising concerns and speaking the truth about the technocratic takeover of our country and the White House.
Recently, Trump expressed support for expanding the H-1B program, a move that enables hiring immigrant workers at lower wages, often sidelining American workers. This stance directly contradicts his firm opposition to the program during the 2016 and 2020 campaigns. Shout out to the Midas Touch Network, by the way, for their excellent compilation highlighting this shift. This came after Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy praised H-1Bs on X, sparking a MAGA civil war, which included far-right activist Laura Loomer condemning their stance and accusing them of betraying the principles of America First, before later decrying that she was being censored on Elon's platform for speaking out against them. Then, Senator Bernie Sanders chimes into the conversation by saying that the function of the H-1B program is to replace good-paying American jobs with low-wage indentured servants from abroad, decreasing the cost of labor and making more money for the billionaires. Surprisingly, the seditionist fraudster far-right podcast host Steve Bannon agrees with Bernie. But before we dive in, if you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, don't forget to click the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. Your support means a lot. Okay, so first off, expecting us on the left to care about a recent instance of hypocrisy from Trump's MAGA land, while MAGA continually reviles the left for calling out the contradictory behavior of their leaders and themselves, is beyond stupidity. MAGA is now decrying that the free speech absolutist MAGA leaders like Musk are censoring, banning, and abridging their free speech. Yeah, we know. Us on the left have been loudly warning of Trump's authoritarian affinity to subdue our freeness of speech, but people wanted to believe his lies that the left censorship over culture war BS like gender pronouns, which is manufactured by the wealthy elite to distract everyone from systemic inequality, was way worse than Trump actually using the office of the presidency to suppress our freedoms. Since 2016, MAGA has engaged in speech censorship that far exceeds the censoring of free speech in the culture war over pronouns that they have accused the left of doing. Trump's rhetoric, particularly his labeling of the press as the enemy of the people, echoes Stalin and his infamous phrase with the same meaning, vrag naroda, which was used by Stalin to kill roughly 1.5 million of his own people in the period of history known as the Great Purge. So with Trump normalizing the words of Stalin and other murderous dictators, expecting us to care that Elon is censoring and banning people on X over H-1B visas is not just stupid, it's weaponized stupidity, and it's targeted at people on the left and other protectors of freedom to lead us into darkness. But it's not just regular darkness that MAGA is gleefully leading us into, but a special kind brought by continually forsaking the truths we hold to be self-evident and believing lies that debase God's country. That is advanced darkness.
This isn't your average everyday darkness. This is advanced darkness.
Fortunately, though, for our collective sanity, Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont voiced the real reason these greedy billionaire MAGA leaders now love the H-1B program that contradicts their America First principles. In a press release yesterday, Bernie wrote, "The main function of the H-1B visa program and other guest worker initiatives is not to hire the best and the brightest, but rather to replace good-paying American jobs with low-wage, indentured servants from abroad. The cheaper the labor they hire, the more money the billionaires make." Even the far-right fraudster and seditionist Steve Bannon agreed with Bernie when he said something nearly identical on his podcast recently.
H-1B visas, that's not what it's about. It's about taking American jobs and bringing over essentially what become indentured servants at lower wages. This thing's a scam by the oligarchs in Silicon Valley to basically take jobs from American citizens, give them to what become indentured servants from foreign countries, and then pay them less. Simple.
They're both exactly right. Billionaire's gonna billionaire, clinging to the vile maxim, all for ourselves and nothing for other people. Just as Adam Smith, who literally wrote the book on wealth and its effects on a nation, and we on the left tried to warn you, but you refused to listen. In your temerarious intransigence, you chose leaders who lied about putting America first and instead care only about enriching themselves, surprising no one except all of you who believe the Cheeto charlatan. To all the MAGA faithful now lamenting and gnashing their teeth that the so-called free speech absolutist Elon is censoring and banning people desperate for attention, let me remind you that you believe that Trump, a fraudster and public betrayer, and his opulent, obscenely rich allies would rule in your best interest rather than their own. You ignored and derided all of us lefties who tried to warn you but called us pretentious for our references, such as Aristotle, who said that tyrants govern not in the common interest but in their own, indifferent to the consent of the governed, the consent of Americans. It just so happens that Trump has not returned after 2020, and who also said that a tyrant cannot relinquish the consent of the governed without forfeiting his position as tyrant, because to a tyrant, the common good is secondary to self-interest. But who cares about that, right? You ignored all of this, had no problem with Trump labeling his detractors like us lefties who are fighting against these suppressions of freedom as enemies of the people, or vragi naroda as Stalin would say, and turned a blind eye to the glaring and inevitable consequences of entrusting fraudsters, betrayers of public trust, and elites with power. So when the wealthy billionaire elites inevitably break their promises, like choosing cheap immigrant labor over putting American workers first by expanding the H-1B program, don't expect any outrage from us on the left. We've long moved past that. But take it from all of us lefties when we say that if you think this is a bad day for you,
I don't even think you really know what a bad day is. But you're gonna find out.